Picture this, you're in the kitchen, your hands are covered in flour, and you need to check what's the next step in the recipe. And you remember that you need to get more garlic because you just used the last clove. Wouldn't it be so handy if someone could answer your questions about the recipe and take care of your groceries list for you? Well, in this video, I'll show you how you can build a real-time cooking assistant combining the conversational speed of the Gemini Live API with the power of function calling using Firebase AI Logic. Let's get to know the Friendly Meals Android app. It uses AI to generate recipes based on a list of ingredients and additional instructions, such as dietary restrictions. Once the user opens one of the recipes, they see this Live Cooking Assistant button. When they click this button, the app takes them to the Assistant screen, which uses the phone camera and microphone to assist the user while they are cooking their meal in real time. And if the user needs to add items to the grocery list at any point, they can simply ask the app in a conversational style, and the app will use the power of function calling to handle it. It's really handy. Let me show you how I used it last week. Can you add figs and onions to my grocery list?
Sure thing. I've added figs and onions to your grocery list.
Is this the right cheese for this recipe? I don't know much about cheeses.
That looks like cheddar or a similar hard cheese. The recipe calls for brie, which is a soft cheese that will melt differently than what you have. Would you like me to find a substitution or add brie to your list?
Add brie to my list, please.
Done. I've added brie cheese to your list.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything else.
Building a real-time cooking assistant like this on the client side without having to set up complicated server-side architecture is only possible because of Firebase AI Logic. Through the AI Logic SDKs, you can securely call Google's generative models directly from your mobile and web apps. So let's see how we can pair one of these generative models, the Gemini Live model, with function calling to create this real-time hands-free experience. First, because we're building the video assistant on Android, we need to declare the necessary permissions to capture microphone and camera data in the Android manifest file. The first two lines you see here are requesting the necessary permissions. The last line is telling the Android system and the Google Play Store that the app has some camera features, but these features are not required for the app to work. This is important because it allows users without a camera to still download your app and use the features that don't rely on it. Next, we need to initialize the live model and customize its behavior. Friendly Meals has a dedicated class to handle the lifespan of the streaming session. It begins by initializing a live generative model instance, passing the appropriate model name, a voice character profile, the response modality, and the tools we're going to use. We'll dive into the details of the grocery list tool later in this video. It also needs some system instructions to define the culinary expert persona and specify what recipe the user is currently cooking. In Friendly Meals, we can do that by saying something along the lines of, "You are a helpful live cooking assistant. The user is currently preparing the following recipe." Then we add the details of the recipe and keep instructing the model what to do with it. The user will stream real-time video of their cooking and ask questions about it. Answer those questions accurately based on the recipe context and the video content. Be concise and helpful. If the user asks you to add an ingredient or an item to their grocery list or shopping list, call the Add Ingredients to Grocery List function. Here you can see the instruction for the second part of the real-time assistant feature, function calling. A conversational UI is great, but a true assistant needs to affect the application state, which means it needs to know how to perform actions by calling functions automatically depending on what the user asks the assistant to do. For example, if a user says, "I just used the last of the olive oil, add it to my groceries list," the model shouldn't just reply, "Okay, I've noted that," and take no action. It needs to execute that action inside the app. The first step to achieve that is to declare a tool to manage grocery items, as you can see here. We need to provide a name and a description to this function and declare what parameters the function needs. As we saw previously in this video, the grocery list tool was added to the live model configuration when creating an instance of the live model. Then, we need to update the view model to send a session handler as a parameter when starting a new live session. This handler is of type function response part and defines what happens if the add ingredient to grocery list tool is called. The code that you see here checks if the function being called is the one registered previously. If so, it performs some checks on the data. First, it checks if it's a JSON object to get the content, or if it's a normal string to trim and clear the surroundings. Second, it checks if the resulting ingredient name is not null or blank. Last, it gets the current logged-in user from Firebase auth and stores the ingredient in that user's grocery list in Firestore. Now, the next time I run out of figs and onions, I can ask the cooking assistant to add these ingredients to my grocery list, and the model will be able to detect my intent, map it to the add ingredient to grocery list tool, extract the strings figs and onions, and trigger the function to save these ingredients in my shopping list. And that's how you can use Gemini Live and tool calling to create a helpful kitchen assistant with Firebase AI Logic. As you can see, you don't need a lot of backend infrastructure to bring agentic voice and video experiences into your mobile and web apps. Before you ship your cool new AI features to production, make sure you're following our recommendations to keep your app secure. First, you should protect your app using AppCheck. This ensures only your legitimate app running on untampered devices can call any Firebase backend services. Adding AppCheck to your mobile and web apps is so important that we are enforcing it for every Firebase AI Logic call. Check out the AppCheck documentation to learn more about it and get the instructions to get started in your platform of choice. Second, I recommend checking out our production checklist. It contains important additional information you should consider before launching your app or any new AI features to production. All the documentation pages and sample apps mentioned in this video are linked in the description below. I've also linked the specific pull request that adds the assistant feature so you can see all the changes in the Jetpack Compose UI and get the Kotlin code for handling the live session and the bidirectional streaming of audio and video. Happy coding!